I don't have any question in my mind that it would help performance, transfer the weight room output to the sporting field.
We just Alex and I played around with the push band. It's on the bar now. So is that better actually, or is it? I mean, what's really the difference? The lights are different, so that's a natural assumption. It's better.
Well, it's brings it closer to what the values you attain from linear positional transducers are. So anytime you attach something to the bar, gives you a measurement of what the bar is doing. So one of the big differences, I think, between some of your first gen wearable technologies, where you actually put it on your body, and the linear positional transducers, is that one was measuring the velocity of the bar and the other one is measuring the velocity of your body. And while it's safe to assume that those two things are related, they're not exactly the same. So I think you're going to see some discrepancy in the values, even if they're 100% accurate for what they're measuring. What they're measuring are not the same thing. So if we put the accelerometer with the gyroscope on the bar, we'd expect for the values to be similar to the values that you would attain from a linear positional transducer that was placed on the bar.
Is there any research about how this compares to like GymAware or like the wire retract ones or whatever?
Right now, I'm not aware of any comparisons. This is the first attempt for Push to have bar technology. There are a couple others out there that I've played around with that are not really worth using at all, that have attempted to be on the bar. Some of them are getting better, but the interface is a little clunky and slow, and the data is not really reliable. So far, we've liked what we've seen with the bar acquired data. It was good with the body as well, so it just gives us another option and maybe a better point of comparison if we're trying to compare with linear positional transducer data.
And then with the athletes that you plan to use it with, which groups are you mostly going to use it with? And then, like, how are you going to compare the data from the beginning of the year to the end of the year?
So there's a lot of uses for VBT, and I'd say I use it most with my track and field guys. We got a small group. I train for 48 weeks of the year. We can really track velocities across that entire span, and I can set things up so that we're working across the force velocity continuum, controlling all of the different aspects of their physical development. So it fits in really well with them. I've toyed around with it with our weightlifting team as well. Logistically, it was a little bit more difficult with them. Didn't have quite the buy-in that I was looking for, but have used it with a lot of private training clients as well. We've sometimes pulled it out with our high school athletes, but personally, I use it most with our track and field athletes. I can control all the other variables, so I can make sense of what I'm looking for. I can use it to drive intent. I can use it to auto-regulate weight on the bar. I can use it to do cutoff thresholds for reps or for weight. So there's a lot of different uses for it. Looking at velocity, a lot of times people think that it just means you're moving light weights fast, but that's not necessarily what it means. Velocity is just a metric. So just as weightlifting doesn't mean you're moving a heavy weight or a light weight, velocity-based training doesn't mean you're moving fast or slow. It's just giving you the metric itself, and then it's up to you to decide what to do with it. You could go heavy and slow, you could go light and fast, you could watch the decrement over the course of sets, over the course of the year, seeing it go up or down. So there's a lot of different uses for it. It really just provides another tool for the coach. We never get away from using our eyes to watch what's going on in terms of the movement, but it can give you some additional information that can help you to make better informed decisions.
So your training at the track group is pretty, it's very systematic and organized in a way. So you kind of know what to expect at this point just from working with track and field athletes. If you were to not have the velocity-based training, you would still have a pretty good idea of where to go like you did in the past. But using it now, specifically, how would you how would you use it now specifically compared to maybe 4 or 5 years ago?
So we can be a little more informed in terms of the decisions. We can be a little bit more confident in the decisions that we make. For example, in the past, before I was using any form of VBT, I might just say, okay, we need to have a lightweight, move it fast, and choose a percentage of RM. So maybe 60% of 1 rep max for a snatch or something like that. And we say, okay, let's just move it fast and assume that that's strength speed, and we're achieving high power outputs. But on a given day, someone might be up or down from their RM that we're working off of, and that doesn't necessarily get shown in the weight that they use on the bar if we're just kind of estimating it. Now I don't just have to rely on my eyes and the qualitative appearance of the lift. I could actually get numbers associated with it, and then based off of those numbers I can adjust the weight or adjust the movement pattern or decide to cut the reps down or whatever I need to do. So it just allows you to confirm what you're seeing with your eyes. I think it will never replace a good coach, but I think what it can do is inform someone and make them more confident in the decisions that they're making.
Okay, and then the last one would be if you had like a weightlifter or a powerlifter that was like a football player and they were moving to track and field or they wanted to get faster or whatever else. And you see this sometimes where guys are super strong and still like insanely slow. Could you use this to fill in gaps and say, well, I'm just not really going to continue to push up this metric of max strength and start to address speed strength or strength speed using it? Or would you do that as kind of like this is what you lack, this is your biggest weakness, we're just going to hit this weakness really, really hard?
Yeah, there's actually really great utility in VBT for this purpose. Because it drives intent and can provide real-time feedback, there's quite a bit of evidence, including a couple studies that suggest that even at the same workout, the same loads, same set rep progressions, if the person gets real-time feedback from a VBT system, they're going to have better results on field-based measures, more athletic measures like sprinting, jumping, throwing, that kind of thing. And ultimately what we're looking for anytime we go in the weight room is to improve sport performance, and for us to do that we need to have a good transfer of what we're doing in the weight room to what's occurring on the court, field, pitch, wherever. So anytime we can enhance transfer of training to athleticism, that's always going to be a bonus. So we could do the same workouts even, but just by driving intent, we're going to see that there's a greater transfer of training. Also, you could better monitor and assess where the person sits on the force velocity continuum, essentially do a profile of that person, see if they do in fact need to work on one thing or the other. You could start to auto-regulate their training and their load parameters so that you can really target what you're trying to hit rather than just kind of go meathead and put more weight on the bar at all times. You can be a little bit more scientific and analytic with how you want to handle the loading to better address whatever their strengths or weaknesses are.
Sweet. You think that would push up performance though?
Yeah, I don't have any question in my mind that it would help performance, transfer the weight room output to the sporting field.